an incredible, genuine, authentic yoga class, say you go to different towns. I've looked in different cities and towns to see what's offered, and I already know that they're doing something that messes up the practice just by the type of studios they have, just by the wording that they have. Or we have cities and towns where they think they're supposed, as opposed to offering a genuine practice, they think that they're supposed to teach people things that I would consider immature, like you would teach kids certain things or things about relationships or what have you during 7th and 8th grade or maybe high school. And you could pay for yoga and actually be, say in Gainesville, Florida, in a town that's there to teach people things that they kind of should already know. I'm kind of curious why people don't know these things already. They're like basics in life, but they will just forever keep teaching certain basics as opposed to teaching yoga. And that happened at a studio or two in Gainesville, Florida, and I'm like, they think they're supposed to, but it's a slap in the face for adults who want to take yoga and actually have a yoga class. So anyway, I took a little bit of the river walk, or the inner walkway here of the art museum. So we're going this way. My first editor when I moved to Philadelphia, actually, she was an editor who hired me to freelance for the News Journal, and I wrote real estate sections and stuff. She was down in Delaware. She commuted, drove back and forth. Then she called me up one day after she left that position, and I was then working for the Newark Post, a small little newspaper in Newark, Delaware. And she called me up and she said, "Do you want to work up in the, up in Philadelphia in the city, like kind of get out of Delaware?" And I was like, yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm trying to figure out how to get out of the stuck situation in which I'm in, because hopefully you can move forward in life. It's really hard to do, especially if you don't have the provisions. There's a lot of things that can trap people into their worlds, particularly if you're actually sabotaged invisibly and you wouldn't know that. So there, we live in a very oppressive world, so we'll just leave it at that. So I feel grateful I'm here, but I do know that I'd rather be moving on and having a normal life with a little home, cat, dog, and stuff like that. And it's the suburbs, doesn't have to be city. But anyway, my editor lived here, at least when she worked for a North American publishing company. Back when she was in Delaware, I'm not sure if she lived here or not, or if they purchased it, she and her husband. But it was a small condo. So there's a lot of condos in this building, the Philadelphian, and it on the back side. So it was on like the first floor, which is, I don't know if they consider it 2 or 3, because you have the lobby, then you walk up a little tiny stairwell. She never had to use the elevators, and she was on the other side of these condos here in this section. So the back, her window would be around the back. I could walk there. This building is often called Geriatric City. A lot of people who are mature, older, live here. It's kind of in that realm of you can do everything in this building. Whatever you need to do, it can be done here. You don't even have to leave. So there's a diner, there's a travel agent, there's a beauty salon, there's like 2 different banks in there. There's a pharmacy, there's a little Klein's grocery store in the back. I used to go to Klein's because I lived up Pennsylvania Avenue. I lived in that direction, a couple buildings, when it was still apartments. They're totally condo now. I wondered if I could have purchased. I just wasn't in a position to feel secure enough to do that, but I'm glad I didn't, because the building kind of went downhill. So there's even a little diner in here. What's little Pete's or whatever. Should we go around? So it's, I think they've moved. Every once in a blue moon, I'll think, let me look her up to see what's going on. I think she has a different address. I can't be certain. I haven't seen her around. Over the years, I would run into her on the streets. Here's St. Francis Xavier over here. I actually showed up there one time because I kept looking for a place to belong or things to do, or reaching out for assistance, like just in general, like how do you connect with people? And I thought, let me go here just to see. But I wound up breaking down in tears. It's hard to explain. I think I'm too saintly for some of the activity. So some people think the opposite. It could be that I'm actually too good for some of the dirty activity that actually goes on in churches or with people who show up to churches trying to handle people a certain way. So it's hard to explain. People can handle people invisibly, so we'll just leave it at that. And you could be picked by accident, you know. And anyway, but technically I kept trying to move forward in life as having a bachelor's already back then, so finding a job and so forth and so on, you know, wasn't supposed to be that hard, you know, hard-ish, but usually people find a place. Anyway, so I was struggling a bit trying to figure out which way to go next on my journey in terms of life, career. Here's the loading dock area. So they probably bring in supplies here. Klein's probably doesn't. They deliver right at their door, or can they deliver back here? They might. Klein's might tuck under. I have to think about it. They're around the back. So Donna, I guess the Loyal's place. It was kind of in this realm. It's either over top of this or in this realm here. I just knew it faced out this way. My apartment was similarly placed in 2601 Pennsylvania. The building looks a lot different now. It's got a darkness to it, as if you're in New York City and you're living a jazz life or something. So I'll go around. I guess, right, Klein's could, that's right, in my mind. So, right, Klein's could get their food delivered this way. Wow, they have new signage. Klein's Supermarket, Wells Fargo, Little Pete's, NovaCare, Parkway Pharmacy, Keller Williams, even a real estate agent's in here, Halo Salon, Hearsay. And that's all on this side. Inside the building, there's even more, like a travel agent and everything. Wow, new steps and everything. This is all... I haven't been up here in a long time. With the running group, we used to come up here, and every Saturday morning after running basically 3.1 miles, we would come out here and have brunch. I didn't get much because I was always worried about spending money, but we had all the men, you know, sort of had their brunch, and I just want to put this out there, and I am a modern person, so I didn't originally expect men to be chivalrous, although my dad, you know, if I were to meet up with him, he would pay, you know, he was one of these people who paid for dinner, this, that, and the other, and of course he's a dad. But I have to say, I've never met anyone who wanted to help anyone outright and have dinner with them, and if they would know, like, if you're kind of struggling, or if they could help you get a job or whatever. I just have to put it out there. We had, you know, gay male running group, and they were a little bit snotty, to be honest. And to have someone show, it said gay running group, and I was like, oh, women can show up. Anyone is supposed to be allowed to show up. And it's supposed to be a welcoming environment, but this is a very tight coterie of people. And technically, one might feel like not